Planning Commission to order. Member Anderson, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Hale?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson? Here. Vice Chair Pont?
Here.
Commissioner Monette?
Here.
And Chair Hardy is absent today.
Okay. All right, so we're already down to item 3.
Is your microphone on?
I believe it is, isn't it? Okay. I just need to get closer. All right. I think I want to say a few words. Our chair is absent tonight, so I have the gavel. Please bear with me. I may make some mistakes. I'm hoping staff and the rest of the commissioners keep me on track here. At any rate, item 3. Public forum. This is an opportunity for the public to address the commission on items of interest to the public that are not listed on the agenda. Because of the restrictions imposed by the Brown Act, the commission may not engage in any discussion or take action on matters not described on the agenda. Please observe the 4-minute time limit. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the Planning Commission under public forum? Hearing none, we'll move on to consent items. Members of the commission or the public may ask that any items be considered individually for purposes of considering alternative actions, for extended discussion, or for public comment. Unless that is done, one motion may be used to adopt all of the recommended actions. We have 4.1 on consent, which is the approval of the minutes of 8/6 and the minutes of 8/20. Do any of the commission members care to pull either of those? No. No. Does any member of the public wish to? No. All right. Then I will consider a motion.
Move to accept consent items.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Sorry. Could you read the roll call, please?
Commissioner Monette?
Yes.
Commissioner Hale?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pont?
Yes. So that puts us down to public hearings. The first one is 5.1, a Stockton Street house at 1248 is requesting design review and a variance. Staff report, please, Aaron.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pont. Like you, I'm filling in for Chris on this one this evening. So as you noted, the applicant has submitted a request for design review and a variance to remodel and reinforce the front portion of the house at 1248 Stockton and demolish the non-historic rear portion and replace it with the new construction of 44 square feet, essentially in the same configuration as it currently exists. Approval of the variance is required because the applicant desires to add approximately 20 square feet of floor area to the rear of the building that already encroaches into the required setback, approximately 12 feet 4 inches. The exterior of the original portion of the structure will remain unchanged, with the exception of increasing the height of the front door, removing the non-historic porch railings, new roofing materials and ceiling beams, and the installation of period-correct double-paned windows. The front porch posts, roof, floor, and steps will be replaced. In the reconstructed rear portion, the applicant proposes to rebuild the master bedroom and master bath, adding attic storage space above the bath. New windows will be period correct. Sliding and accordion style doors will provide access to the rear yard area, and the carport will be replaced and raised approximately 18 inches to improve access and light. The dining area will expand approximately 2 feet 10 inches, and the master bedroom will expand approximately 2 feet 3 inches. The existing parcel is legal nonconforming because it does not meet minimum parcel size or width. Further, because of encroachments into the front yard, right side yard as viewed from Stockton Street, and rear yard setbacks, the structure is non-conforming for those reasons as well. And a non-conforming building or structure, physical feature, may be remodeled, rehabilitated, or structurally altered as long as the new work does not increase the degree of non-conformity. Because, however, the applicant is adding additional square footage into what is now the required rear yard setback, a variance is required for that. And due to the size of the lot, the historical restrictions, the existing substandard setback, staff believes that the findings for a variance can be made for the modest square footage additions to the proposed residence. No correspondence was received as part of this application from any of the neighbors. And for the reasons described in the staff report, staff recommends that the Planning Commission find the project exempt from the requirements of CEQA pursuant to Section 15303 and accept the required findings and approve the requested variance and design review for the rehabilitation, remodeling, and addition to the single-family residence at 1248 Stockton Street. Applicant and their representatives are here should you have any questions, and I will attempt to answer any questions you may have as well.
Are there any questions of staff? Sure.
On page 17, number letter E, inasmuch as there are not a significant number of similar substandard non-conforming lots in the vicinity or zoning district, it is not reasonably practicable to formulate a general regulation for such condition or situation. In other words, there are not enough of these lots to make it necessary or practical to amend the zoning code. I'm just wondering how many lots
if I
are
may
in
ask,
there?
where are you reading from, if I could?
I'm reading on page 17, letter E,
I'm on
under
page
summary of staff's response to the applicant and the mandatory
I'm on
finding.
page 17, and all I've got is the permit, so, I mean, a resolution. so
17 of 53? Is that what you're on?
17 of 43.
Oh, I don't know. There were two agendas sent out, but I don't.
Yours may have not updated. I don't know. I have 1753
I thought
here.
it had updated. All right.
It does. I knew these tablets were no good. Anyway, I guess my question is. Oh, excuse me. What? What is this based on? I mean, first of all, how many are there? How many substandard lots are there in the whole town? And what kind of criteria or, standard did you base that on?
It's purely discretionary. We don't have an itemized list of all the substandard lots. I can tell you that lots 3,000 to 4,000 square feet are fairly uncommon. There aren't a whole lot of them.
Well, in my experience on the on the commission, which has been, for about 6 years or so, actually these substandard lot stuff comes up a lot, and especially in terms of encroachment on,
So we don't even allow anything less than 4,000 square feet. So
right, I just don't. I mean, I just don't like that paragraph because I think it doesn't. I don't understand where it comes from. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to bring up. But I pay attention to this stuff, and I think that it is just all of the law. I mean, there are many substandard lots, and they may come up. I don't know. So I'm not sure we should change the ordinance, but I just think that that's kind of a statement that doesn't have anything to back it up, apparently.
Okay.
So I was just talking about that. I mean, that's what my question was.
If I can say this, Bobby, we will be changing the ordinance in the fairly near future. So
Okay.
this is another thing to add to the list,
Oh, it's on the list.
particularly
Okay.
since we do have a lot of substandard lots in town.
Okay, so, and then, let's see. Again, on page 16, I'm under summary, under A. I was just wondering, it says that the improvements would create an uninhabitable and unsafe bedroom of a maximum size of 8 feet 5 inches and create issues with clearance and mobility. Now, you're talking about the improvements in the thickness of the wall.
So that right there is the applicant's language, so that's not from staff. So you should
Well, when they
direct
come
that
up,
question
okay,
to them.
I'll ask them
Yeah.
then. Okay. And then one more. Let's see, on page 41. Oh, yeah, I needed your help. It says the second to the last bullet on page 41. It talks about the new master bedroom and how it's going to align with existing footprint of the closet. And then there's a water closet that is, I couldn't find the red lines on the plans, so I'm just wondering if you could show me. It sounds like it's going to be extended to a
So-
measurement that's already,
So there's an existing feature
okay.
here,
Uh-huh.
and so they're adding this.
Oh, okay. So that's,
So this is already here.
so that's the additional encroachment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, you have any questions of staff? No. Commissioner Hale? No, I just have one. So the lot is substandard, and the structure on it right now doesn't meet the setbacks, correct?
That's correct.
So at the end of the day, what they're requesting is it wouldn't improve on any of those conditions, correct?
You mean add on square footage?
No, I
into-
mean the lot would still be substandard. There's nothing we can do about that.
Right.
And it would still encroach on the setbacks, even to a slightly larger degree than the existing structure, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So at the end of the day, we do get a historical structure that has been completely rehabilitated that would otherwise sounds like it's fairly poor condition.
It is.
Okay. Another question. The storage space up above, that is neither heated nor air conditioned?
I don't know if it
Okay.
is. That's above the bathroom.
Because if it is heated or air conditioned, we've all of a sudden got our second story definition comes into play. So,
Potentially, if it's over a certain height on the
yeah,
inside.
yeah, if you can
Yeah.
stand up in it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a question for the,
Yep.
any other questions of staff? Thank you. This is the time for the.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Chandler with Chandler Workshop Architects. We're a husband-wife team here in St. Helena, locals to St. Helena as well. So I'm the architects on this project. I had a big spiel for you guys, but I guess I can answer the questions and maybe shed some light on the reasons we're doing what we were doing, and hopefully let you guys understand that we're being respectful and keeping the house fairly untouched for the historic portion. So basically, the variance, that rear bedroom currently is extremely small. The walls are built with 2x4s, but they're not even on edge, they're on side. So the wall thickness is probably 2.5 to 3 inches.
Really?
So current code, structurally, everything, we have to put 2x6s, we have to add sheathing, structural sheathing, probably put 5/8 drywall, so the interior becomes about 8'5" of that room. So you'd have 2 feet between a queen size bed and the wall. It's not even a child's bedroom in a tiny little house. So we're trying to be very respectful, and we're not asking for a lot of extra space. We just want to align the wall with the existing water heater closet. So technically we're not even making the back portion of the house wider because it already is that width. We're just moving out that one wall to align with it. So the neighbors shouldn't have any issue. Nobody's going to see it. It's just creating a livable bedroom and up to code, both with Title 24 and structure in thought. So, and then the other question, can you remind me what that was? Sorry. Oh yeah, the upstairs. No, there's already an area up there that's not heated or air conditioned or anything. It's just the house is extremely small. There's not much storage, and being able to put some boxes up there would be beneficial to the small property. So
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for the proponent? No? No? All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You're the architect. Are you also the people that live there?
No, we're not. Elaine Honig is the owner.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks. Okay.
If you want to address would you step up to the microphone, please? Thank you. We can't hear it, and it doesn't record.
Ah, got it. Okay. So I bought this house I guess at the beginning of the year, and was looking to move to town. I live outside of town, was looking to move to town to have community, and was also looking for something. I'm a single woman in my mid-50s, looking for something that I could live in alone that was easy, almost sort of like a little townhouse, and very limited lot, small house, easy to maintain kind of thing, where I could be for long term. And this house was terrific, was a perfect little cottage for me. Of course, once we bought it, then we discovered, the vast amounts of mold, and basically the foundation was sort of almost like one of those Jenga games. And so it was like, okay, throw a coat of paint on it and put some sisal down and live in it for a couple of years, I guess isn't going to happen. So we'll just deal with it. So in doing it, I wanted to have a house that fit the scale of the neighborhood. And when I bought it, you can add a second story. But that, to me, made no sense because it now blows this house up and makes it disproportionate for the lot. And then as we worked on this floor plan for, I don't know, it took us a handful of months to actually get this thing worked just right, because it's like designing a little boat, getting 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a washer, dryer, into 1,000 square feet was tricky. And so we managed to do one little tiny bump out in the kitchen, which I think helped a lot, which is 3 feet by 10 feet. And that's all within the setbacks and totally cool. And then the only thing that was different that was tricky was making that master bedroom slightly larger so that I could get around the bottom of the bed. And again, that water heater closet bumps out. So it was already bumped out. We just sort of did this. And as I looked at the lesser of the evils, the small amount of square footage to me was better than going up just to me threw the whole thing out of scale for the neighborhood. So we're trying to be sensitive to the point of it is that it's a historic little cottage with a relationship to the street. So that's what we're trying to recreate.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions of the proponents? No. All right. I will open the public hearing. Any member of the public who cares to speak either for or against this project, now is your time.
Hello, I'm Joy Rhodes Brown. I live on Hillview Place. And with only serendipity to blame, we just happened to open the agenda for tonight's Planning Commission meeting. The similarities to our own trip through the Planning Commission in 1992 was brought back to mind like it was yesterday. I wanted to come hear for myself whether or not any changes have occurred in the variance process in these 37 years. We took off a substandard already existing structure that had been built by a previous owner or two and replaced it with a safer, structurally sound, aesthetically more pleasing room in exactly the same footprint as the original. The zoning is medium-density residential. Our lot is smaller than the standard 7,000 square feet. Ours, too, is a legally subdivided lot and considered a legal non-conforming parcel. The left side setback, southwest facing, was reduced to 0 and ameliorated by the 12-foot Vineyard Road, which has water and sewer easement shown on the plot map. It was agreed by all parties, those being us, the next-door owner of the parcel, and the city of St. Helena, that nothing could ever be built on that easement in perpetuity. Tonight's packet, under letter A of the regulations governing legally non-conforming structures, regulation states that the non-conforming building structures or other physical features may be continued indefinitely subject to provisions. I don't really need to read to you what's in your packet, but my real question that I'd like to bring to your attention is, are you ready to tell this applicant that you can take her variance away? because that's what happened to me. My variance of 37 years ago was taken away by Noah and Aaron 2 years ago, and the benefits that I had for the use of my house have been gone for those 2 years. And one of the sections of your packet is number 9. The applicant will defend and indemnify and hold the city, its agents, officers, and employees harmless of any claim or action or proceedings to attack, set aside, void, or annul an approval so long as the city promptly notifies the applicant of any such claim, action, or proceedings, and the city cooperates fully in the defense of the action or proceedings. One morning, heavy equipment came to my yard and started putting a fence up. I called the city. They said, I called the police. Something's going on. The owner insisted he had the permission of the city. I was never, ever informed that my variance had been changed, and that fence has been in place for 2 years. This number 11 says this design review and variance shall run with the land and shall be binding upon all parties having any right, title, or interest in the real property or any part thereof, their heirs, successors, and assigns, and shall inure to their benefit and benefit of the city of St. Helena. Well, evidently that's not true. We don't have the use of our property. We don't have access to our property. What was given to us 37 years ago is gone. And it was a spite response by the neighboring landowner being called to account for code violations. Here's your fence is pretty much the essence. And the other part, it says, the well-meaning, not very important, backing up to the fire department's parking lot. That ownership can change. They can change their mind. They can come back and say, what about us?
Excuse me, you are out of time. Do you have much more?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
My only question is, I approve of her packet. I think it's. I love the staying in the footprint of the house. It's tiny. It should stay tiny. Doesn't get overblown and triple sized. I just want you to warn her that you could take it away and leave her holding the bag.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to say for or against this project in the public? Close the public hearing. Bring it back to the commission for discussion. Do you want to start, Bobby?
Yeah, I really think, especially after hearing the owner speak, I think this is a wonderful project, and I really appreciate not putting up a second story, which has been the problem on substandard lots around town in the past, to my memory. And I appreciate the changes that are going to be ecologically reasonable. You know, you're going to have better insulation. You're not going to be using as much energy and so forth. I really like everything. The only thing that I have a problem with is the variance, because the variance says that the problem has to be not because of anything that any person wants. It has to be something that's wrong with the land. And I mean, this property has been the same width it's been, so you know, and it would be adding to the nonconformance. So if by the letter of the variance rules, I would like some advice on how to think about it, because I think applied to this would be silly. I think because it's not going further than, you know, it's not encroaching any further than what's already been encroached on, and the place where it's encroaching isn't going to be bothering anyone. But I'm just wondering, how diligent do we have to be in terms of following the letter of the variance law, or I guess assume it's a law, because it doesn't seem that there's any way to, there's no reason for the variance to be asked, because it isn't, it's because they want to build something, not because the land is too narrow. I mean, the land was what it was from the beginning. So I don't know if I'm being very articulate about my question, but I would like to get some advice on how to think about imposing that variance or enforcing the variance, given that I don't think it's appropriate for this a project. But technically it is.
So you didn't have any trouble with B, C, D, or E, I take it, just with A?
Where are you talking about?
On the variance.
Right. Well, there are two things. It adds to the
I mean,
unconformity.
there are 5 tests. The variance in any buildings or structures permitted by the variance will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare.
Where are you?
I'm reading directly from the code.
On page 15. Okay. Okay. The variance.
17172.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. 050.
Okay. The first one, yes, number 1.
It's A that you have a problem with. The hardship peculiar to the property not created by any act of the owner exists.
And there's one that I think that number 3, the authorization will not.
C.
No, not 3, but wasn't there one that said that it can't add to the nonconformity? If not, then forget it. I thought there was one.
Not in the variance
Okay.
rules.
Okay. So yes, that's. Yeah, so help me figure out how to think about that. So
I'm thinking about there is a hardship peculiar to the property. It's
Okay.
less than 4,000 square feet.
Right, but
That's a hardship peculiar to this piece of property.
so anyone could then that's like saying, okay, but I want to build a big house, but I want to build a big house on a small lot, and because it's a small lot, I should get a variance to be able to do it because I can't build my big house on the small lot.
I don't know why you're arguing against this one now. There was one a few weeks ago that was corner to corner on a small lot that was 2 stories tall that you approved.
Well,
So
that's
I'm wondering
not
about
appropriate to bring up
consistency here.
I don't remember what my thinking was, and I'm not saying that I will disapprove of this. I want some advice about how to think about
And
it.
I would think about it as this lot is less than 4,000 square feet. That's a peculiarity to this piece of property.
So
it's
if
very
they wanted
tiny.
to build a second story, because this has been
That's
the
the
argument
only
in the
other way to
past.
do it. And if it went second story, to my mind, it would destroy the historical significance of what's there.
Okay, so I can think about the fact that the lot is small. It was small from the beginning. Whoever bought it knew it was small from the beginning, knew they'd have to, if they followed the setbacks, if they could have figured out how to redesign inside to accommodate, I'm not saying they should have. It just seems very strange.
If you look at DR 1.01, there's a dotted line in there that shows you how much space they had to build on if they followed all the setbacks. The current existing historical structure doesn't fit within the setbacks.
Right, that's nonconformity.
Yeah.
And this would be adding to the nonconformity.
It's nonconforming twice. It's nonconforming twice because A, the size of the lot, that makes it nonconforming. Okay, and B, that it's inside the setbacks.
No, I think it's non-conforming. When it was built, there were no rules. I mean, they
Yes,
didn't have
yes,
these
but in our
rules.
current rules, it's non-conforming under
retroactive.
both of those.
I know.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to. I mean, I'm not going to argue it that much. Perhaps this is just something I need to bone up on, how to really understand the rules of the variance, or maybe we as a commission could sometimes spend more time on discussing it. But I really like this project, and I wouldn't want to hold it up. I just wanted some clarity. I'll accept what you've suggested for now, although it doesn't sit that easily, and I'm not sure what other commissioners are thinking.
Commissioner Anderson, do you have anything you want to add? Or not?
I think it's a very reasonable request, honestly.
I do too.
I didn't have a problem with the wording in any of the variances. I think this is maybe one of the first that I've had
Perhaps.
to deal with. So I wasn't sure if I was just missing something, but I think it's a really nice project, and I really appreciate that they're trying to keep it historical and small, and I think it's great.
Commissioner?
Maybe I could try to address some of Bobby's concerns, which I think are
are kind of the crux of when a variance comes. The challenge I think sometimes is to kind of dovetail understand the project and then kind of figure out, well, okay, define hardship. And really, if you look at the hardship and the definition that they say that this, the applicant didn't create this per se. The person before them didn't create it either. I mean, this house, when it was built, was certainly conforming. As code changed, it became non-conforming. I think if you look at if you try to push kind of the hardship or define hardship as this being a small lot, and small lot meaning is defined as less than 7,000 square feet. This is less than 4, so it's not just a small lot. It's a very small lot, and I don't think it's out of bounds for us to sort of consider the devil we don't know and the devil that could have happened here, and if we're trying to build a better city here, I think being reasonable and applying reasonableness to this, I don't think is outrageous. If you're comparing, they would be in their rights to build a second floor. They're not pushing their envelope on FAR. They're infilling, a 2 foot plus, by something feet. And when I was looking at this, I thought, well, this is a small lot. If you had applied the small lot definitions, the rear setback is 15 feet. They're not asked, but for that they'd have to pay extra money for a use permit, which I find perverse. But that's an aside. You pay protection money to sort of get the city to consider your small lot a small lot. That doesn't make sense to me. But if you look at it that way, it becomes even a less incursion into that section. So what's 2 feet by 12 maybe 9 2 by 10. Take 5 feet off that. It's you're talking about a incremental change that's partly they're being required, or they're choosing to bring this property to a current standard. I've had houses where the inside walls and the outside walls are just 2 planks, and it's interesting, but it certainly doesn't function as we would like things to do. And I think we can be reasonable and say, once you thicken those walls, that room that's already small becomes perversely small. And I think I think we can I don't have a problem kind of framing this as hardship, because in so many other ways they're being reasonable. And I think this is a sensitive plan. It's sensitive to the historic nature of the structure. It's sensitive to the streetscape. It's right. I think maybe we have to be a little creative in framing that hardship, but I'm perfectly comfortable doing that.
I agree with everything you said, but I do appreciate that frame. And actually, I thought about it at one point, that the thing that is not of their making are the new requirements. And so in that sense, absolutely, I can totally embrace it with that in mind. So I thank you for redirecting me to that particular aspect of it.
Well, I too like this project. It's sensitive to the structure. You've maintained something. You're going to improve it that otherwise probably would have fallen apart. I recognize it's outside the envelope, but the way to approach that, you didn't, which was to tear the whole thing down and build a 2-story box inside the standard envelope, which wouldn't have fit with a lot, wouldn't have fit with the area it's in. You would have had trouble tearing the house down because of its historical nature. I think this is a sensitive approach. You didn't reach beyond He didn't say, well, I need another 500 square feet and here's how I'm going to get it. So I applaud you for your approach, for your architect's approach, and your desire to maintain the historical integrity of this house, which otherwise looks like it would indeed fall apart. With that little polemic, I'm open to a motion from the commission.
I can never remember how to say it correctly.
Read from the agenda.
Where is it?
I believe it's staff. And it goes to, yeah.
1 and 2.
1 and 1.
No, 5.1. There's 1 and 2 under it.
I motion to approve the project is exempt from the requirements of CEQA pursuant to CEQA section 15303 and accepting the required findings and approving the requested variance and design review for the rehabilitation, remodeling, and addition of single-family resident at 1248 Stockton Street.
Second.
If you could take the roll, please.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Monette,
Yes.
Commissioner Hale,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Pont.
Yes. Thank you.
Yay.
That takes us to item 5.2, which is, 6.1. Oh, sorry. Design review for the XLU Jupiter Platinum Twin Toilet. How's that for a name? Is this Erica's?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
be right with it. So,
Please.
as many of you may recall, this project came to Planning Commission in 2017 as a CMU concrete mason unit block building that was designed by a local architect and was approved with Planning Commission Resolution 2017-023. Since then time, we got council's authorization. There's many discussions back and forth at the cost of this building, and consequently, we went out to bid twice. And both times the bids were more than double than the current budgeted amount. And after the second time, council directed staff to come back with a modular style or other type of building. And so we did some research, and Exalu had been someone that had been contacting me for a couple of years. There was a couple of other restroom companies as well, but they were kind of more of stick-built structures and not something that has all the electronic automatic capabilities, which I think with the current generation, City of Napa had just put one in when we were going out to bid with our old-fashioned style, not old-fashioned, but standard style structure. And so we came back with this Exalu style structure. We also had Gates and Associates, who's the landscape or architect firm that's working on the downtown streetscape presentation, to give their input on it. The building is steel framed with a reinforced concrete base, fiber cement exterior walls, and a structural insulated panel 3-inch foam core roof. The project includes either a paint, finish, or a historic photo of a St. Helena. Examples are attached, which City Council wants Planning Commission to provide direction on. We gave a couple of mock-up styles of the paint version or a photo finish and or a wrap. Council authorized the purchasing amount. With this added clad option, it can be changed out every 3 to 5 years. They were kind of energized by the idea that it could be refaced every 3 to 5 years by either local art groups, other nonprofits, or sponsorships. And so we're really here tonight to ask, are you okay with the structure? This structure also is now within the city's property lines. The prior project was approved over 2 parcels, the Telegraph Alley and the existing city, and we've moved it back. It's a smaller footprint than the original project. The original project was 2 set-aside buildings. This is 1 individual modular structure that will be set on 2 concrete footings. Really simplistic approach. City crews will probably be doing the utilities, and then we'll contract out the concrete work in front. So we'll probably have to get PG&E to put a new set of new meter as well, but we're hoping to do all this work prior to the manufacturing structure delivery, which is 20 weeks from go. So with that, I don't know if you need more additional direction from me. We're already working with our building official to work out some of the ADA accessibility issues on the inside, because there are little differences. It's companies from New Zealand, but these toilets are propping up everywhere. I mean, they just finished completed one in Oakland, and I had the owners, their name is Glue, GLEW, that popped in from New Zealand last week to say hi and when are we going to get started with this project. And they were firstly working away on the redesign from our building official, because their local rep who's been contacting and we're working with the city is getting, well, because we got married last weekend, so they flew in for their representative, which is neat to have a small firm working and also cares about their field. So
there were other things that they came here for from New Zealand, not just this.
they were checking out all their local, yes, I think so. But they were driving all up and down the Bay Area on Monday, seeing all the sites and taking photos so they could, probably use it for feed everywhere. But they are propping up everywhere. So
it was interesting that you used the term they popped in from New Zealand. It's like, whoa, you're a traveler.
I thought they were visiting St. Helena, but they're here for a wedding. So
Do you have any questions?
I do. I remember was something that came up when this first came to the commission. Is this going to be air conditioned?
No. That was something that council asked us to check out, and unless they were connected to an existing building, there is no air conditioning usually in standalone structures.
What kind of ventilation? Are there fans inside? I noticed there's a tiny little bit of, in the summer it's going to be so hot inside of these buildings.
The good news is after every 30 flushes, it gets sprayed down, and anything, it has an automatic system, cleansing system.
Gets sprayed down?
The floor, it gets sprayed down. It's like this automatic disinfectant system that comes in.
But there are no fans inside?
I don't believe so. And that was something we researched in the last structure.
Was it a hot day? Are there going to be any trees over it or anything? Or is it out just totally exposed in the open? I'm sorry, I didn't get any. This wasn't in my packet, so I didn't even have a chance to look at it.
Oh, okay. There's the building, the AT&T building's next to it, so it'll be on the north side of the building, so it should be probably in shade.
Okay, for part of that. Here.
Shade.
There are some trees that need to be removed in that section.
Pardon? I'm sorry.
But I'm not sure if there's trees. There probably are a couple of trees that are being removed that were already approved. I have to confirm that.
Okay.
You're gonna have to remove some trees.
They've already been removed?
They've already been, this was a larger project before, so that was already been something that has been discussed prior.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad to see the the unisex approach. Are there urinals on each one? I know that's a
It's
big argument last
required
time.
by law.
Oh, okay. It changed since we discussed it before. Because we were going for that. But anyway, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, do you have any questions? No. Commissioner Hill?
Do we have a real clear definition of what we're supposed to even comment on here?
This is design review, right? So at this point, we don't have any power to say, we don't like them, we want the Exelu Gold rather than the Exelu Platinum. So
Pluto or the Saturn.
This is kind of what we've got. So our task here is to look at the structure per se, look at any architectural details the city has provided. They're going to paint it, they're going to mirror it, they're going to wrap it, they're going to do whatever, and comment on that. So this is strictly on the design of the structure, not its placement, not its size, not whether or not it's air conditioned. It's literally what it looks like. Looks like a toilet. Yeah, I know.
I would say the big task before you is providing direction on whether it's painted or wrapped.
Wrapped. There's music. There's going to be music. Yeah.
I guess how you wrap it.
very carefully.
What's the difference?
I mean, I would tend to dumb it down as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, paint it as and I'm not so much against the wrapping idea. I just find so long as everybody's vigilant and we rewrap it when it needs rewrapping, I think that makes sense. But I'd rather see that resource go to commissioning a local artist to do something interesting on it. And that could well change also. In the meantime, I'd say just paint it, and that decision doesn't impede, the building of it or I don't. I mean, I would. It's not really, to me. It's a little overkill for. I'm not really one who buys into the idea that we need extra toilets. I mean, we just had 2 come online at GOTS. We've had 2 at the Chamber of Commerce. I know this is going to be locked up after hours anyway, so you don't have to worry about it being vandalized so much at night. But I think the one in Lyman Park is I know it's been just refreshed. I think that I would rather have seen that be our model, where it's just a box with a toilet and a sink. I think we're asking for trouble with a middle service area. I'm not sure what happens in there, but I think that's probably out of our purview at this point.
Yeah.
So
Is that a nursing room? Is that a mother? What? I didn't have the.
It's like a janitorial closet.
yeah, it's a janitor.
Oh, okay. So there's no place for
Um,
for diaper changing or anything.
Well, I understand the desire to wrap it, but wraps don't last a long time, and B, your city's going through a rather extensive design process in that whole area. What Main Street should look like, what the alley should look like, what Money Way should look like, and somehow I think this would be part of the design process for that entire new look for downtown. So I'd hate to spend or have the city spend a lot of money on a wrap, finish their design process and say, oh, guess what? The wrap comes off.
What's the wrap made out of?
Hmm?
What is the wrap made out of?
You remember the decals that you'd put on your models, or
So it's plastic. It's petroleum.
It's plastic.
We
It's a-
don't need
it's a-
plastic.
it's
Talk about a
it-
plastic
It's
bag.
a thin
we don't
plastic
Need.
film.
It's a large sticker.
It's
You can
real.
wrap buses.
Pardon?
Yeah.
You can wrap anything.
Oh yeah, we used
Well,
to wrap
okay,
buses.
so I'm really opposed to it in terms of the
Well, I
environment.
volunteered, helped me look better. No, I would.
Well, paint
I
can
would
be
be-
water soluble. I mean,
Yeah, well, the paint has low VOC and all this jazz, but I'd hate to spend a lot of money on something that I think. Erica, do you know when that design process for the downtown core is supposed to be done?
In order to start in spring of 2021, we have to submit everything to Caltrans for downtown Main Street by October 2020.
So roughly this time next year, you will have a design, what the benches are supposed to look like, what the lights are supposed to look like, what colors are supposed to be down, what Money Way is going to look like.
Many ways also, we're trying to actually get some of those ideas encapsulated, like a total cost for the downtown streetscape plan in the coming months. But we are starting heavy on the design for the corridor because we need that. That is something we have to spend those money. I know we're going off topic here.
I don't think so, because when you'll have your design palette ready, I think is key to us whether or not we recommend you paint it or wrap it. If your design palette wasn't going to be ready for 5 years, all right,
And the wrap is something that can be added. Because I asked them that, going, well, you say it's changed out every 3 to 5 years, yet you need the design by the end of this month. So there's always the option to add that at a later point. They did concede that to me, that can be added. They have an American firm that they can make these the wraps for a similar price.
There are lots of companies that manufacture wraps and install them.
Or you touched on the painting a mural on it. You have a local artist commission it. So I mean, there's other options available.
Yeah.
So, and the price that was provided to council was either just the simple finish paint, and then the and or the wrap for the higher cost.
Do we get a color choice in that simple finish?
Sure, I guess there's a palette of color choices.
Okay.
So
Okay,
that's
so
the next question is, I'm
I'm
an engineer, I'm going to use that. So, but they will need that information.
Okay.
And I do know that this is probably the similar color that the city of Napa chose.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I would suggest not doing a wrap, given that the design palette is going to be done in another few months. We'll know what they're talking about in terms of colors and what the look is, and if the council cares to have a contest on the wrap, that may be something that they care to do. But just picking a random series of old-time pictures and paying to have this wrapped when you're going to tear it off in another 6 months because it's the wrong color. It doesn't match with the palette we're going to use for the whole downtown. I'm a little reluctant to do that.
You could condition a wrap in the future subject to the outcome of just the thought.
I would like to prescribe. I would like to proscribe a wrap. I think it's a terrible idea to put plastic around a building. I mean, it's unnecessary, and I agree that there are artists in town the kids could have a project on it. That could be changed every 5 or 10 years. We don't need to pay some people to put plastic around a building. Even if it can come off, the plastic, it's here forever.
If I remember right, it's recyclable, Bobby. Because
it is not.
That particular plastic, if I remember right, we had to recycle them.
I would question that right now with the more information there is out there about plastics. But at any rate, that's my feeling. I don't expect everyone to agree with me.
I don't think I'd go so far as to include in our resolution that we would ban it, because frankly, I think we're under some marching orders here from a higher body who apparently expressed some interest in wrapping the building. Is that correct?
Well, which higher body is that? And I'd like to know who it is, because I haven't been introduced.
The city council.
Well,
they did approve the funding for the wrap.
With the wrap.
I still hold to my opinion. They can be wrong. It's all right if they're wrong.
Yeah, I'm happy to just move that we recommend that there's no wrap.
Yeah. Thank you.
Period.
I would be.
They can override us, They really
I would be happy to recommend that there's no wrap immediately, because they're really close to having the palette for the whole downtown project. And if that palette is, I don't know, let's pick something outrageous, purple and green, then you'd want our wrap to at least echo those colors in some way. Whatever the color palette is for downtown, this building should mirror.
Right. I mean, the city council is asking for a recommendation. There's no guarantee they're going to do anything with it, with our recommendation. I think we should freely speak or recommend as we would. John, can you open the public hearing? I think we've got.
Yeah.
We'd have to open it.
We do have to open it, yeah.
Yeah, we should have opened it before.
But I think we could.
Okay.
I mean.
Well, any further questions of staff at this point? I was really interested in the timing on the downtown project, when it's coming, how this affects the rest of it.
I just want to follow up on page 35, at the beginning of all the interior accoutrements of the system, and one of the options we already selected that we already told council that's what we're going to do was the baby changing and disposal, because that is something I think is required in all California bathrooms now that are new, so that is included.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's in the space.
I was wondering about that.
Not in the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
No lactating place to lactate. It doesn't look big enough. But yeah. Okay. We're halfway there.
I've been righteously and rightfully chastised by the rest of the commission. Open the public hearing. Is there anybody who cares to speak on this subject?
Hi there. I'm Maddie Chandler. I'm also the architect on the Stockton Street project, and also on the newest member of the Active Transportation and Sustainability Committee. So as that, I'd like to ask the question about solar.
You probably shouldn't speak as a member of the committee unless the whole committee is here.
Oh, is that how that? Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't had the whole.
You could say you're a member, but you're not speaking for the committee.
Oh,
or
I'm
as,
not speaking
or
for
as
the
a
committee.
member of that committee.
Okay, sorry. I
It's okay.
haven't got my lesson on the Brown Act yet, so that's actually tomorrow.
It's not Brown Act. You don't have 5 votes that says to do what you're doing. So.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, gotcha. Well, anyway, I'm not here as a part of the committee. Sorry. But I would like to ask and just question why there isn't a green, sustainable building technique being used on this building. And also, as an architect, I'm not a huge fan of the building, I must say. Is there any opportunity to recess the coin machines or something of that nature so they're not so bulky and sticking out of the building? I might be getting off topic. Also, has anyone considered maybe, like for instance, using corrugated galvanized metal on the outside of the building rather than a paint or a wrap? I'm just asking the questions. So.
Can you give those a go by any slight chance? I know they offer a corrugated option.
They do offer corrugated options, but those escalate the costs, additional coverage. They could even do faux stone on the outside. They can do anything with these buildings, but we're trying to keep the cost minimalized.
Gotcha.
The original project was all about green materials and going green, and the price was $500,000 on a $400,000 project. And we spent $50,000 already on design. So that's why we scaled back and said modular, 170 already designed. It comes out and puts on the site. So we tried to do the green method, and here we are.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I do really like the idea of local kids, artists, whoever painting it. So that would be a cool idea. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah. Oh.
Hello, I'm Ryan Chandler. Spoke earlier. I like looking at that. Just as an architect, it's very bad, and it's gonna.
Not to put too
It
fine
looks
a
like a
point on
toilet. It is a toilet, but you could seriously cut the eaves off of it. First of all, is what I would do. So we don't need eaves. We don't get a ton of rain here, and that right there would clean it up. It would make it go away a little bit better. So the eaves are the things that are overhanging the walls. And then, yeah, like Maddie said, we could, clad it with rusty, recycled, galvanized metal or something. I literally have like 30 sheets of it in my backyard that I inherited from my grandpa. And I mean, I would donate it to you guys I could install it even, but it's unfortunate that things like this cost so much money because you have to go through all the hoops and whatnot. But I want to, long-term help St. Helena look better over time, not add necessities to it, because it is a necessity, but let's make it look like something that we'll be proud of, I guess. So.
Can I ask him a question? Is that okay?
If he cares to answer, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Would that corrugated metal, would that make the building hotter in the sun, in the summer?
No, it wouldn't. Actually, in a way, it might make it cooler because it's not touching.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
only touching the surface at a few locations where it's corrugated. So it might actually help in a way. So, yeah.
Thank you.
If just as an aside, I would encourage both of you to stand up or show up at the city council meeting and address some of those issues, because I think we're being asked to recommend some minor flip-flop changes to a thing that I personally find repulsive. But And I'm happy to play that game, you know, but they're looking for kind of political cover to, you know, kind of bring this around the thing. I would suggest you bring this back to the city council and say, you know, this solution that you came up with in reaction to a $700,000 toilet, I don't think makes sense. You know, especially in light of, you know, 4 new bathrooms already coming online besides this, since this process went under the way. I may well be out of bounds on that, but I agree with you. I think this is a stinker.
I would also suggest that you write letters to the council prior to the hearing, so that if you do it in a way, it'll get in their packet. But anyway,
Bobby.
Yes. Well,
we're getting into if I may.
Here to serve.
Our direction at this point is design review, not whether or not it goes on that site.
Right. My review is pretty clear.
And it's a stinker, which is a pun
So-
if I ever heard one. The council, well, several councils have struggled with this project over a long period of time, and I don't think it's reasonable to look at something that's, you know, $600,000 or $700,000 by the time everything's said and done as an option.
I wouldn't consider that either.
So that
I don't buy into that. That's the only option. I just don't. I build things. I just built an ADU that's close to 600 square feet and is much more sophisticated than this and cost more than what they're saying for this, but not enough to make me smile about it. I just don't buy. I don't buy that we can't come up as a city with a better solution than this. And I didn't sign up for to be up here to just be the kind of pat it down the road.
Rubber stamp.
Back to city council. So my recommendation is that they go back to the drawing board. And I understand the position it puts staff in, because you guys are given direction to come up with this, and that's you put honest, good, sincere effort to try to do that. So I'm trying to be sensitive to that, but I'm reacting as a citizen who lives here, that I don't buy that our only solution is to pay $800,000 for a Lamborghini kind of toilet, or that. You know, and I mean this. I don't understand why we can't, you know. And have we looked at? My question would be: have we looked at Lyman Park's model, which is a double cube with a sink and a toilet? I'm not that enamored with the idea that the thing self-washes. If it self-washes, why do we need a janitorial closet in the middle of it? You know, just to fix the self-washer?
That is because it's all recessed. If you reviewed the documents in front of you, it's all recessed so that the dispensaries, all the trash receptacles are in that center unit, and all the programming is in the center unit.
Right.
There is no coin slot. It's just the face. You push buttons to open it or close the doors. It talks to you. It tells staff. We asked for the option, for the $5,000 option for web-based monitoring, so it tells you when stuff's low and when it's not working, it's out of service. And so it has all the bells and whistles that, frankly, no one else had. We did a comparison of the Portland Loo in Oregon. And the Lyman Park restroom was an existing structure that we refaced. So it's apples and oranges as far as the structure. It is still a stick-built structure.
Right, which I don't know if we've looked at that option, but I mean, throw a slab, throw some sticks in a proper way. I think we can do better. That's all I'm recommending. Sorry.
Does that mean that you recommend that we reject this design? We don't approve the design review?
I just recommend that they think awfully darn hard about it, because I'm not comfortable just saying, yes, don't wrap it. Mm-hmm. You know, how about don't consider the thing that's being wrapped? That's what I'm saying. And I don't think we need to prolong this at all. I think we can, I mean, you guys can come up with whatever recommendation you want, but that's how I feel about it. And, you know,
I would say two things. One, they have indeed spent a lot of time and effort on this. I don't know if you've followed this.
oh, I've
But
followed the whole.
This is like the fourth or fifth design process on that.
And there were iterations before by
Yeah.
different groups. I understand how these process, you know, this, and I think someone's got to stand up and say, you know what? We have to scrap that because it hasn't brought, this is what that's brought us. And so we're sort of compromising, and we're trying to get something through and just push it because we're so tired of the process.
And
that is what we have because of that.
We did include this in our public outreach for the downtown streetscape. There was 2 planning commission meetings. There were 2 one council meeting and steering committee workshops, 2 community pop-ups where we included the XLU as a model, and everyone put their dots on this bathroom.
Right. No, I've participated in that thing. I went there. I have a problem with that process. I have a problem with the process where we ask everybody what they think. I think we need leadership. Somebody needs to take leadership and say, you know what, you know, we have 4 new bathrooms that just are coming online in this town. And number one, is it necessary? Number 2, is this the best we can do? I can't, I mean, I'm not going to waste everybody's time. That's what I think. You know, if we can come up with a resolution that reflects that, fine. If not, I'm happy to just have said my piece and not hold the process up anymore.
Commissioner Anderson, you have anything to add?
Probably. So I haven't followed this project entirely through all the steps, so I don't know exactly how much has gone into it, but it seems like a lot. And, you know, Commissioner Hale is right, it's pretty ugly. But I feel like at this point in the process, maybe all the other options have been looked at by somebody, and that's why it's gotten to this point. I mean, it could be wrong, but I don't know, that's just how I feel.
Can I say a couple of things? I remember when they first started working on it, and they wanted it to be elegant. You know, I mean, they wanted it to be a statement for how you know, elegant and fabulous St. Helena is. They wanted it to be of a luxury kind of bathroom. It's funny that it's, and personally, I don't have any problem with this. I don't know that bathrooms have to be beautiful, or you know, I think they should be functional. They should work, and they should be cool enough not to. Well, you can imagine. So, you know, so I don't have any problem with the fact that it looks like a big outhouse. In fact, I was thinking you could paint stuff on it to add some humor to it, or that it looks like a stinker or whatever. You know, I don't have a problem with how it looks, but I can. But I think the reality, because when they first started talking about it, what was wanted was obviously way too expensive, and so in order to get anything which the city has really thought is important, they're getting this, and I can certainly support it without the wrap. You know, they can override that, but I sure, as a commissioner, don't want to. I want to prescribe wrapping it for the reasons I've already said. So anyway, so I can support it, but I think it's kind of ironic that it's you know, there was a different sense about it when it was first promoted. So.
Well, I recognize this is not an architectural beauty. It was never going to be. The original ones were much better looking, but they occupied more space, You lost some parking spaces under several of them, I believe. And it was way more expensive. This one, if you notice in the staff report, there's a series of photographs supplied by the company that these things can be gussied up to look considerably better. We're getting the plain Jane model at this point. And I think part of that is because we don't know what the downtown is going to, plain John. Yeah. Can't resist that, can you? Because we don't know what the downtown redesign is going to look like. Once that's done, I'm sure the council will consider something a bit more appropriate for the space than what this is a shoebox at this point with a lid. But at this point, I'd rather have a shoebox with a lid than nothing at all. And frankly, I think the chamber agrees with me. You got a support letter in there. The council certainly thinks it's time to move forward on this. I don't have much of a hesitation moving forward on this because I think it has been beat to death in terms of design. And I know that private parties can do construction for a lot less than government because they don't have to pay prevailing wages, which is a real killer. So, with that, I think we've discussed this one inside and outside. Oh, I want to make sure I close the public hearing, right? Because I didn't do that. Frankly, I'm not going to make a motion, but I'm going to say what I would certainly like to see in it. I'd certainly like to see a motion approving design review on this structure. The second, one that recommends they not wrap it because of the proximity of the design coming for the entire downtown. Anyway.
I would move that we move this along as, with that condition, that there would be a proscription against wrapping it. Just so the idea would be to have it painted with eco-friendly paint as you can get, as green paint as you can get.
Milk paint.
With those two, can I just ask that we divide those two motions?
That we what?
Just divide those two motions.
It would be one resolution.
Yeah, we have one resolution, so
With a
yeah,
condition?
dividing motions creates issues with what's before you because there's only one.
So can a resolution be conditioned?
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
okay. So I
Thank you.
move that we pass the resolution with those conditions.
The conditions are
That there is a proscription against wrapping it, and that it's already green, right? You said it's
a
green?
hard prescription.
Proscription.
Yeah, a hard proscription.
Yes, I mean, it can be overridden. It doesn't matter, but I think that, I think, I'm not sure what, I think the commission is okay with that. And that it be, and that whatever it's covered with is green and as eco-friendly as possible.
I would hate to try and give the council a hard prescription for something they have moved on already.
Well, they can do what they want. I mean, if the commission doesn't want it, then we won't vote for it, but that's what I would like.
We have a motion to approve with a hard prescription against a wrap and a recommendation, I take it, for the finishes to be as eco-friendly as possible.
Well, we can leave that off if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Because maybe I forget that part of it. Because if the kids paint it, or if the artists come up and paint it, I think that might make it difficult for that to happen. So, just the proscription against the wrap would be okay with me. And I don't consider that we're a rubber stamp body too. So I mean, I know the council wanted it, but hey, we're doing the design review.
Is there a second?
I think we can tell the council to not wrap it, right? That's something that they've already
Well, we're just recommending it's a resolution.
they've-
They can do what they want.
They've already
They don't-
moved on a wrap.
They don't
I think
necessarily.
I think we
listen
could recommend not wrapping it because of the proximity of the design standards for the downtown project.
to- So if
that-
we
that
if
would
we
make-
pass it with that
I think you can recommend not wrapping it.
okay, rather than prescribe, because then if they don't want it, we'll have to do a new hearing or something like that. Is it?
need to get that specific. You can recommend.
Okay, all right, we recommend that. Okay,
I don't think we need the added language. I think
Okay.
just recommend not wrapping it.
Well,
Okay.
I think the added language tells them why we recommend not wrapping it,
for
which I think would make a difference to me if I was reading it.
yeah, well, because of the environmental issues with and the cost. And the, and the, it would then make it impossible to have local artists or, kids in school to paint the building.
It wouldn't make it impossible, Bobby. Wraps peel off.
Well, whatever.
And that's
Okay.
part of the problem with them, frankly.
Well, those would be the reasons I would say. You have to peel off. I mean, why would you do that?
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the design review with the addition that we recommend no wrap. Could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Monette,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hale,
No.
and Vice Chair Pont.
Yes. All right. That ends that item. So we move down to the.
Your microphone, Commissioner Monette.
I'm sorry, I have a question for the chair. You mentioned that it might be helpful to let the council know the reasons why. What is the proper procedure to communicate with the council on this
Too
issue?
late now, Bobby. We would have included it in the resolution,
Oh.
which was what I was trying to do.
Oh, I see. I didn't understand. Well, I gave those reasons. I guess
Yeah,
you
you've only
repeated
been here
you
6
repeated the
years,
motion
but
without them.
okay.
So, okay.
All right. To the chairman's favorite part of the agenda, which is the end of it. Any department reports?
Just that our next meeting, September 17th, is canceled. I will be at the planning conference in Santa Barbara. So enjoy your Tuesday night.
Okay. Agenda forecast, as always, it is online. So we get to his really favorite part. We are adjourned.
Are we offline? So one of the pictures that Alex from Carter from Exum sent me was where they did artwork from contest artwork from schools, and then they made a wrap with all the artwork. So that's what was jazzed everyone about the streetscape plan, was that